Notnerd Podcast, episode 227. It run magically.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I am Nate Heath, and we are here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Well, hello to you, sir. I am excited to record the show today.
Yes.
I've been building out this studio, which I was showing you around with my little first follow-up item. And what we basically turned this into, and I can actually show you now, I've got a back table with a TV on it and a PlayStation, and we had the Switch hooked up.
Wow.
And so a little bit more on this later, but Sam and I have been turning our studio into a game studio, which has been kind of fun.
Yes.
So that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? That's a really good question. Preparing for this podcast episode, that's what I've been up to. And if you did not guess, we are recording remotely once again, as social or physical distancing, I like that term better, is still in place here and most of the world. But anyways, let's get into some follow-up. We were talking a couple weeks ago, Wyze came out with a couple new products. They had a fitness tracking watch and a digital scale that connects via Bluetooth. Well, they had a couple other products, and something you're going to talk about in a second. They have released a no-touch thermometer. So this is an infrared LED backlit fast testing thermometer, which is an important thing about now. $53.98 is the price on that. And then they also have a smart door lock, which if you remember back, a year and a half ago, I purchased one for my wife for her birthday in August. One is about I think I paid $200, just over $200 for it. But Wyze coming through, they have one for $89.99, and this is the same style as ours. You keep your deadbolt with the key. It just replaces the inside with a big twist knob, and then it gives you auto unlock, remote access, auto lock, all that stuff. It was one of the best purchases I have made for my home, and at $90 plus shipping, that is a great price. But Wyze is just pumping out the new products, and they are pumping out new firmware for old products, which is where I'll let you take over.
Yeah. One of the great things they did, and Wyze seems to be really community focused, like with that thermometer. It's like, hey, we've sourced these. We're going to sell them to our community for people who might need them. I elected not to purchase one because I have a under the arm, under the tongue type thermometer, and it seems to work fine. And I'm like, someone else out there needs this. I don't need it.
Yeah.
In addition to that, their community focus has been to making their existing products work better. And in these trying times, when people are trying to get online to buy a Logitech camera for their computer to do video conferencing, and they're all sold out or they're 10x priced so that people are making big bucks off of them because of their scarcity, they've gone and written custom firmware for their first two camera devices that they had, just the Wyze Cam and the Wyze Cam Pan and Scan. You can download this firmware. It's very simple to install, and it's not going to be supported moving forward. But what it does is, in essence, turns your Wyze Cam into a chat camera.
Wow. And
it works great. The only thing that's required is a special cable because it uses the data port on the back versus the power port. And it's a USB type A to USB type A cable. These are the things I do for you, friends, is I spend my own money to test these things. So I got a short USB type A to A cable, plugged it in after installing the firmware. Boom. I choose the camera source in my software, and it's there. It says USB cam. And it works great. It's a little fisheye. It's not the perfect camera, but I believe it's a 1080p image that's coming out of there, maybe a 720p, and it is more than sufficient to be used as a webcam. So if you have one of these cameras laying around, or if you go to Home Depot, they sell them there for $25. You can buy them online. They're readily available because they're not webcams, and that's what's hot right now. You just install the firmware, get the special cable from Amazon, you're good to go. So I just wanted to mention that for those of you who are still trying to source webcams.
Nice. And also related to our ongoing discussions of how to do video meetings better, our title last week was Just Mute It. I believe. And I saw an article that caught my eye that said, "Don't mute" as part of the headline. And it's "Don't mute, get a better headset." This was written by Matt Mullenweg, who you could find at the amazing URL ma.tt. He has the URL ma.tt, and he is one of the founding developers of WordPress, which most of the web is built on, and done many other things along with that. Very smart guy, but he tested a bunch of headsets for your computer, which is what we use to record the podcast now. He did not review ours. We found a real gem on Amazon at a real good price, but he went through and tested a lot of these. He, on the article, which will be in the show notes, he has audio samples from all these different headsets. So he did some from Sennheiser, and then he also tried Tautronics, Bluetooth one. He tried the Apple AirPods Pro, a few other ones, and then even compared that to like the new MacBook Pro 16-inch model that has pretty impressive microphones, and then some other common things as well, podcasting mics, and compared to all the audio there. So if you are looking for something to have better audio, because that is important, we really, really like having these headsets. It's just a single ear. I prefer to have the single ear headset, not the double ear. I don't need stereo sound to hear Dave, no offense. But it kind of keeps me in the room a little bit more, but I can still also hear what Dave's saying, which is slightly important, I guess.
Yeah, and the great thing about having the boom arm with the mic on the headset is that you move your head to look a different direction, or you pick up a drink to take a drink, whatever. The mic is in the same place all the time, so you're going to get a consistent volume. Yes. And you're not too far away from the mic or too close. And so they're really handy. I prefer recording this way.
Yes, and much like anything, you can spend just about whatever you want. I think the most expensive one he had was about $150 for these headsets. We paid about $25 a piece for ours. I'll put a link to ours in the show notes as well. I don't know if they're available on Amazon right now because, as with the webcams and everything else, they're a hot product right now.
Yeah, and as a side note, these can also be used on many gaming systems if you're wanting to do voice chat for video games, and we can talk more about that later.
Yes. Another point of follow-up, we were talking about how the unemployment systems are overloaded at the moment, but some more detail on that. Many governments and bank systems are running on a coding language called COBOL, which is 60 years old. And so there is a mad rush for people to learn how to program COBOL to help out these systems. I saw something that IBM's actually putting out some training to learn COBOL, but just one more piece of evidence that these archaic government systems and banking systems are coming to light right now. So maybe it will spur them on to improve things, maybe it won't, and they'll just train more COBOL.
Yeah. Well, just because something is old does not mean it's bad.
Yes.
So COBOL does really good for what it does. And if the system is working, there's no sense to replace it. But I think some of the hardware at this point is starting to fail. And so they're rethinking some of these things. But I did read a couple articles that were saying, there was really no reason to change away from COBOL because it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Yeah. It's known. The people who know how to program it can program it well. And fun fact, when I started out my career in computer science, I attended Colby Community College in Kansas. Go Trojans. And I took programming classes, and we studied COBOL and Pascal and Fortran.
Wow.
And actually, COBOL, I don't know that we did a lot on, but we at least discussed it. It's more kind of military business type stuff. But Pascal and these other ones, the concepts that are used to program in these languages are still in use today in other more modern programming languages. So anyway, that's just a fun fact for those of you who are really looking forward to my memoir that I'll be writing on my life story. So there's a taste.
We can only wait. If you can just, don't even write it, do it video form in your new video studio.
That's a good idea.
Yes. Well, we were saying last week that we waited to record because we thought Apple was going to announce new phones and these new AirTag tracking things, and still no word, but they did release a new product. Apple has released face shields, and they are producing them now, and I have a link in the show notes. They have very Apple-like instructions on how to assemble your Apple face shield. I do not know if they're putting the Apple logo on those anywhere, but might be a collector's item someday if you can get your hands on one. But most of the major tech companies and manufacturing companies are doing what they can to help with the PPE, especially for healthcare workers. So Apple is making millions of these things now and trying to get them out to the people that need it.
Now, would it be better for me to wear one of these to the grocery store or to have the face mask type things that cover my mouth and nose?
That is a very good question. I don't think we know the answer to that, as we don't know the answer to many things with COVID-19.
Well, the reason I think I would like this is it covers my whole face and I can just see right through it.
Yeah.
It's nothing touching my face, you know.
Yep. Yeah, just a very large, full face plastic shield with a little rubber strap on there. And yeah,
pretty cool.
It is nice. Apple's, along with others, doing good. We'll get back to that a little later in our takes of the week. Microsoft, a lot of people were very excited about their new Windows 10X and their new Neo device, these folding devices that Microsoft promised for the end of this year.
Me included.
Yes, you were saying that you were very intrigued by the design on these. Well, Microsoft has delayed those and said that they will be next year. Now, I don't know if they can directly relate this. I'm guessing it's tied to COVID-19. Another thing that I didn't link to from Microsoft in the show notes, they have announced that all of their conferences and events through 2021 will be virtual. So they are going full in on the virtual events, and obviously they've been working on probably all hands on deck on Skype and improvements with everything going on right now, their teams and making sure everything's working good. So they're going to put off their devices for the Windows 10X that would be for other dual screen devices available to HP or Dell, where they could make dual screen devices as well. So we'll have to wait a little bit longer, as we will for many things right now. This next one, I'm calling not news on this one. You found the link. Google says no to Zoom for employees. Well, that is really easy for Google to say, because why would their employees not be using their own Google Meet feature? But they did make an official announcement that their employees, workers, are not allowed to use Zoom for video conferencing, probably related to all the security stuff we talked about, but also because they should use theirs.
It is most certainly from their PR that it is because of security reasons. But I can think that their marketing team should say, hey, use our own product.
Yeah.
I will also say that they should improve their product with features that people are clamoring for. This is anecdotal evidence, but I think if Hangouts Meet would simply add a grid array where you can watch everybody at the same time, it would cut in to 50% of Zoom's stock, because that's all people want. They just want to be able to see everybody on the screen at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, I think this novelty will wear off after a while when we're done with the whole Brady Bunch looking around all these little squares of people, and we just get down to business and make our meeting shorter and get off quickly. But for now, all the people I interface with are like, well, it's just a little clunkier and it doesn't have the grid view. I want to see everybody at once. That's like the number one request.
And
so
there is an extension.
Google.
There is a Chrome extension where you can add in the grid feature, but it's not built in, which I do not know why they wouldn't just do that.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I'm going to experiment with it. But if they would simply add that one feature, I think it would solve a lot of problems for a lot of people.
Yes, it's just it's a much different product than Zoom, and Zoom has a lot of features. We're doing this podcast right now via Zoom, and it has some nice recording features for the audio and video and all kinds of things. So, but yeah, Google with getting a little press there, slamming Zoom a little bit. But you know what else always improves things? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So my pro tip this week is a little bit out of character for me. You know, I'm a big Apple fan. I've got this nice shining iMac here in front of me. I've got a similar one at work. I've had various MacBooks and iPads and iPhones and everythings. And so I'm all in on the Apple ecosystem. But occasionally you have to delve into the Windows world. And I can't think of a better way to do that than to run Windows on your Mac hardware. And I know we've talked about this a little bit over the years, but we've never really kind of given it as a tip or dug a little bit deeper into how this is accomplished. I have an iMac on my desk right now. It has an i5 processor. That's an Intel processor. And you may know that Intel is famous for partnering with Microsoft, and we have these Wintel computers. And so Microsoft Windows runs very well on Intel chips. And that's exactly what you find in nearly all modern Macintoshes. It only takes just a little bit of software configuration to run Windows on your Apple hardware. And there have been those out there who say the best Windows hardware to run is Apple hardware. Last night, I converted my iMac into a PC. And what would have been really cool, Nate, is if I had been running on Windows the whole time and didn't tell you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't worth the headache and troubleshooting problems I would have had to go through to make that happen. So I'm recording on my Mac side. But in a nutshell, this is how it's done. Go to Microsoft, and we can put the link that I used in our show notes for you later, and you download Windows 10 directly from Microsoft. They'll give you an ISO file. You then on your Mac launch a program that's built in that you've probably never even seen or heard of, and it's called Boot Camp. It's in your utilities folder of your applications folder. And you launch this program and it'll say, show me where the ISO file is for your install. And you point it to the file you downloaded from Microsoft. It goes through a setup process. It asks for username and passwords and those type of things. And then it gets busy doing its stuff. It'll ask you, how much hard drive space do you want to devote to your Windows partition? And you say, I gave it 101 gigabytes, just because I couldn't get it exactly on 100.
Yes.
And I didn't want 98. I mean, that'd be stupid to do 98. So I did 101 and hit go. Over a series of minutes, it will install this, create a new partition, and then it restarts your computer into Windows setup mode. And you sign in, you make your account, you set up Cortana or cancel her or whatever you want to do with Cortana. And you go through the process. And again, minutes later, you're greeted with a beautiful giant display running Windows 10. It couldn't be easier. Now, one thing you might say, well, what about the license for Windows 10? Don't you need a license? Well, there's an option throughout the installer that says, I do not have a license. And you click that, and it takes you right into, well, what version do you want to install? And I picked Windows 10 Home. So you might be able to tell me a little bit later what repercussions I will have from that. But it installed. I started experimenting with installing some programs, and I'll tell you why in a second. But Nate, quickly, can I perpetually use the software as an unlicensed user, or will it prompt me to pay for a license at some point in the future?
My current understanding is that it will prompt you for a license. I don't know if it's after 30 days. It will say, hey, this license of Windows 10 it's not activated. So I think you would need to pay for it at that point. But I know there's also sometimes you can get away without doing it. So I think at some point it will ask you for a license or licensing information, which you can purchase many places. Amazon, you can usually get a little discount on it. But yeah, it's definitely gives you some advantages if you need to use Windows stuff. And I have heard in the past people being quoted saying the best hardware to run Windows on is a Mac. It's not going to be probably as smooth as the Mac operating system, but hey, if you need both, or if you have a Mac and need to run Windows stuff, it is a great option.
And this brings me to the next point of why did I do this to begin with, other than experimental reasons, which I like to experiment. My son Sam and I have been just playing Fortnite out the wazoo the past few days. And I have my Mac in here, which runs Fortnite, and I have the TV over here that I mentioned earlier that's running a Nintendo Switch, which is running Fortnite. We also have available on my iPad if somebody wants to come over and play it on the iPad. I have a Still Series Nimbus controller, which does an okay job. The kids don't like it. They think it's ghetto, but we're a Fortnite household. And so we have an older computer out in the living area that does not support Fortnite. It can't run Fortnite. It could run version 1, but they've updated it. Now the hardware is too old to do it. However, if you install Windows on that exact same computer, it is my understanding that you can run Fortnite on it. So I experimented with my daily driver here, so I knew how to do it. And this afternoon, I'll be finishing the setup of Windows on my other computer, which does not meet the specifications for Fortnite on the Mac side. Now, I also wanted to say that I have a Steam account. Steam is an online video game portal where you can purchase and install games for your computers, Mac and PC. And many of the games that I have won't work on the Mac side, but they will work on a PC. And it all has to do with Windows. It has nothing to do with the hardware. So if I boot into Windows and run Steam, I'll have access to more of the video games that I have in that library. So this all has to do with playing video games on my computer. Mac has always been a platform that didn't support games very well. Windows supports it very well. And so if you're looking to run particular software, or if you're looking to run certain games, installing Windows on your Mac might be the best choice for those type of things.
Yes. And with Boot Camp, I want to clarify, you have to reboot and start it up with Windows. You can't run them at the same time, unlike a product, say, Parallels, which I'll put a link in the show note, where you can actually run Windows as a virtual machine within, so you could actually just be at your normal desktop and have a window that's running Windows. That's not confusing at all.
Yeah, and I've ran virtual machine before. Oracle provides a free program that will run that. The problem is with performance is that you're running an operating system on top of another operating system, so there is a performance hit. That's why I elected to do it through the Boot Camp. And that is true. You start your computer, hold down the Option key, and then at that point you choose, am I going to be a Mac computer right now, or am I going to be a PC computer right now? And you have to make that choice every time you want to switch back and forth. But with SSDs and drives being as fast as they are these days, the boot up is under 60 seconds. So it's not that big of sacrifice.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know, speaking of SSDs, if I mentioned it, that for Christmas, my brothers and I purchased my parents a new laptop, a PC laptop, and they had one that was 7 or 8 years old and was just super slow. And we were over there just the other night. They are part of our physical distancing circle, and my dad just goes, I don't think I have thanked you enough for that new laptop. It is so much like they just didn't know, and I try to convince people of this all the time. You don't know how slow your computer is until you use one that is modern with an SSD, and they use it mostly for Spider Solitaire, but Spider Solitaire is really fast on there. But even like you were talking about, the reboots and getting it started up and waking it from sleep, all that stuff is so fast. Well, thank you for that tip if you need Windows on your Mac. We also got a listener question via Dylan Gentry, and I will go ahead and play that now.
Hey, Nate and Dave, it's your old pal Dylan calling. I hope you're both doing better than I am in these unique times. You see, I'm in quite the predicament over here, and I'm in need of some advice. Like many of your listeners, I'm adapting to working from home, and during this recent run of beautiful weather, I've been enjoying the sunshine by doing a little bit of work from the back patio. The only problem is, while I'm outside day drinking, working remotely, my Wi-Fi signal, it's really weak, and it's constantly dropping. So my question here is, what is your favorite summertime home cocktail recipe? My standby, it's a gin and tonic, but I've been dabbling in the world of spiked seltzers a little bit lately too. So if you have any good recipes to share, I'd love to hear them. And also that Wi-Fi thing I mentioned earlier. Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Keep up the good work.
Okay, well, thank you for that question, Dylan. So my favorite summer cocktail that I created myself, since I try to avoid sugars and grains as much as possible, is, I call it the Millennial Mule. It is something I came up with based on like a Kentucky Mule. So it is a whiskey-based drink. You add a little whiskey. You add from Whole Foods, they have a sparkling water that is ginger flavored. So instead of a ginger beer with lots of sugar, you'd add the sparkling water and then a little squeeze of lime juice. And that gives me what I call the Millennial Mule. So try that one out for your summer cocktail. And on to our next. Oh, I guess we should answer his Wi-Fi question as well. So I did talk with Dylan a little bit about his question. He's trying to get some better Wi-Fi to his backyard. His current setup is that they have Frontier fiber internet, which I have as well, and they just have the default Frontier router in their front room. So he was just looking for a cheap, easy way to get some Wi-Fi to the backyard. Ideally, he would buy one of these wonderful mesh systems that we always talk about. But what I suggested to him, I believe they are $30, is what I actually use one of at home to extend my Wi-Fi a bit, which is a TP-Link Wi-Fi extender. Now, it's not going to be the best, but to get a little extra signal out to the backyard for $30 versus maybe a couple $100 for one of the mesh systems, I think he's going to be very happy with that and getting a little more signal. Just he doesn't have a large house, doesn't have a huge yard, so just getting a little bit extra, a Wi-Fi extender in that case, if you're on a budget, I think that's going to be okay. Dave, do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I feel a little offended that you didn't ask me about my summertime.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, your summertime cocktail.
Joke's on you because for dietary reasons, I typically just don't drink any alcohol. And when I do, I used to drink like Hefeweizen beer or something like that. Now I rarely drink beer at all, just occasionally like on Super Bowl Sunday or something like that. I prefer soda, diet soda, and diet cherry Coke or diet cherry Dr. Pepper is great on a hot summer day.
Getting crazy.
Getting crazy out there.
Yes.
The other thing is I agree completely. I was going to say Belkin makes some of these extenders, but TP-Link is probably the better option. And I kind of have this weird kind of ghetto setup here at home. People often give me Apple products, yes. And there's a lot of old Apple airport products that people are getting rid of and upgrading. And so I've collected many of these over the years. And so I've made my own pseudo mesh Wi-Fi environment here because they talk well to each other. You can put them in kind of mesh mode when you set them up. And I just say, here's my main router, and then here's all the little slave routers that I can just plug in anywhere. I've got one here in my garage. I've got one upstairs, one in my bedroom, and they were free to me, so
yes.
They work great.
Yes, and I did the product that I suggested to Dylan is the TP-Link. It's one of the AC extenders. So you want to probably look for the AC Wi-Fi system, whatever. They're switching to numbers. That's going to make it so much easier. But
who knows what the AC stands for?
Yes.
It's the good one.
Yes, exactly. Well, on to our takes of the week. Another piece of big news from Apple and Google. They are working together to launch a COVID-19 tracing tool. So there's been a lot of discussion on this. It would be for both iOS and Android, and it would be a opt-in service where it would anonymize your data and it would check if you were close to somebody else using Bluetooth LE. It would send their unique signature to a server and your unique signature, and then it would kind of say, hey, this person was close to this person or this, and give you some more information. There's been a lot of talk about how we track and trace COVID-19 and who it's getting to and from. And I mean, Apple and Google, between those two companies, that covers 99.9% of smartphones. But will be interesting to see as they go to roll this out if people will want to opt in. If it's, I don't know enough. I'll probably opt into it, but if other people aren't using it, won't do a lot of good. So it seems like it's going to be a good thing, and they're trying to do it the right way, securely and anonymously, and be able to give you some information of who you're coming into contact with. But
when I first heard about Apple and Google working together, I thought of the quote from Ghostbusters where Dr. Peter Venkman's like, human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. We've got Google and Apple working together on something. Remember when Steve Jobs got so mad at them that he kicked their mapping service off of his platform and created his new mapping, Apple Maps, just because they weren't working together? And so I think this is great that they're combining forces to do something for the good of humanity.
Yes, because it would, as much as they have a history between them in the past, for them to work together has a global effect instead of trying to get every government to work together and then the hodgepodge of services that would come from those governments and all of that. So I think over the next month or so, they're working to have something out on this and start rolling it out so that we can continue to move forward in this new world in which we live in. Next story. Mac Rumors put together a long list of all the free streaming content out there right now between Apple TV and HBO and AMC and Showtime, CBS All Access, YouTube Originals, PBS Kids, Amazon Prime Now, Sling Free, Hulu, Netflix, Quibi. Wait, what? What you say? Quibi? Now, Quibi is a brand new service, and it is a short-form streaming service, and they are giving out a 90-day free trial. Now, it is a very interesting service. I have not tried it out yet, but I've seen and heard some people talking about this. They have brought in a lot of celebrities, LeBron James, networks, TV shows to create content specifically for your phone. And the interesting thing is a lot of the content, you can watch it vertically and it'll be a real nice tight vertical shot. But then if you turn your phone sideways, it automatically adjusts into a wider screen video. So specific content being created for this where it works both vertically, and horizontally.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
That seems to be the general consensus. I will try it out this week. You guys go try it out as well. See if you find anything that you want to watch on there. I like to watch stuff on my TV.
I am allergic to vertical video. I just cannot do it.
Yes, vertical video is tough for me to absorb as well, as we've discussed many times. There's many other services. You can go look at this article that are offering 1 month free trials, which we can all hope and wish that, well, if you do a 1 month trial of one and then switch to another, you can get all kinds of free content. But yeah, Quibi is this new one. It'll cost $4.99 a month after that. Yeah, I don't know, for one, if we need a new streaming service. There's plenty of other stuff out there. But all these other things, like Netflix, if you haven't previously signed up for a free trial, you can do 30 days, as with many of the others. So if there's one that you thought, I should try that out, check out this article, and you can find links to all the ones that will give you a nice free trial at this time.
Very cool.
And you found another new service. This is on the audio side of things. Spotify has released Spotify Kids.
Yes, and I tried this out, and let me load it up here real quick, because as you can imagine, I didn't spend a lot of time using it after I tried it out.
Yes.
But for those of you who have children and you want them to experience Spotify in a different way, now one of the things that I've famously done in my family is I've turned off the explicit music, and since I have a family plan, that means that all of the devices that are attached to my family plan, explicit is turned off, much to the chagrin of my teenage children who want to listen to the latest single that might have a couple F-bombs in it. But I'm like, hey, not on my watch.
Yep.
So it's got, as you can see, Nate, in my terrible video, bright colors. There's like the Lego movies is featured, School of Rock. Disney Hits is a playlist. There's Taylor Swift is in there. All of her songs are clean. Anyway, a lot of Disney partnerships here. There's also like the Trolls World Tour movie that's got a bunch of songs from like Justin Timberlake and etc. I was surprised to see Justin Bieber in here looking all innocent. And if you were to look at a modern picture of him, he's got like tattoos all over and crazy piercings. But it's just a fun experience to just have a curated list of music that you can hand your kid your device and say, you can play anything on here. So I think it's a great idea, and it's done really well.
Nice. Nice.
And you're not limited. You can search within as well.
Okay.
Like I'm listening to a 2015 remaster of David Bowie's Changes through this app because it's not an explicit track.
Okay.
It's just that you can listen to anything that's non-explicit, but it's heavily curated with playlists.
Very nice. Yeah. So if you've got the Spotify family plan, you can get that, or you can try it right now for 1 month free, and then $14.99 a month after for the family subscription. I just have the normal subscription, but yes, it is much like the YouTube Kids app. It is very nice to allow them to go into an app and not have to worry about what they're going to find in there. So I do appreciate that as a parent. You were talking earlier about gaming on the PC. Dave, have you looked into Google Stadia at all yet?
I have. I got excited about this service early on, and there have been a couple attempts over the years to do an internet streaming gaming service. There were a multitude of other attempts, but when Google came along, they said, hey, we're going to do it right. And I believe them because they're massive players in the whole internet space. But some of the things I didn't like about it. First off, you have to subscribe to the service. So there's money that you put forward before you can play the games. Then you have to buy the games to play on top of this service. No games come with it. There's not a monthly fee that you can pay to unlock like 100 games. Microsoft has this great service where you pay like 12 or 15 bucks a month and you have access to 100 games in a library, much like Apple Arcade, where you pay a small fee and you get all these games you can play for free. Well, not in the case of Stadia. It's you pay the money to sign up for the service, then you got to buy the games. And it's unclear to me, once you buy the games, if Stadia goes away, do your games go away? Can you, are they lost forever? It seemed a little too rich for me to try out. If it had been just subscribe to this for a few months and play games for free, then I would have been all over it. But that's all I really know. I haven't really tried it. I've just read a few articles about it, and I'm trying to keep up to date on its offerings.
Yes. I received an email this last week, and it was something about, since I'm a YouTube premium subscriber, I could get 3 months free, I believe it was. They are offering a 2-month trial right now, much like all those video trials that you can do. And I logged in, and so basically what you're doing is through your web browser, you're playing a video game on a server, on one of Google's servers. So it's not running through your computer, it's running through the server. There were quite a few games that look like that I could play. Of course, like you're saying, that you can also buy some. It's the Stadia Pro is what you get 2 months free of. So
yeah, maybe they've changed it to where now you can do like a game subscription service, but it's been my understanding that you have to buy the games to do anything. So that kind of turned me off a little bit.
Yeah, I was able to play some games for free. I tried it out for maybe 5 minutes, so I did not see how far you could get with those games. But for those looking for some new games, you might check out Stadia and at least give the trial a try and see how it works for you, especially if you don't have all the vast gaming hardware that Dave has at his house.
Yes. Well, and that was the draw for me at the beginning. It's like I could play this through a web browser.
Yes.
Sign me up.
Yes.
I don't know. At the end of the day, it's probably cheaper just to buy, like right now, Xbox One X, they're $100 off for $299.
Oh, wow.
You can get the most powerful Xbox system right now. In a few months, they're going to come out with a new one this fall. But for right now, for $300, and then you could sign up for this service, or you could buy a couple of cheap games from some retailer and just keep them forever. And I don't know. It still seems like a better value proposition to just buy the gaming console than to mess with the Stadia. But time will tell.
Time will tell. So colleges are closed. High schools are closed, but these students still need to take tests. And I found an interesting article discussing that colleges are kind of scrambling right now to use online proctor companies that watch students through webcams while they're taking tests. So you hire these services, and what they will do is while you're taking the test, it actually makes a lot of sense. I've taken some tests recently at a local, or not too recently, a few years back, for some computer certifications at a local community college. You basically went into this room, sat at a computer, and there was somebody watching everybody to make sure you're not cheating. Well, why can't we just do that through your webcam, so they make sure you're not, looking off for 30 minutes at reading the book or trying to cheat? So you can imagine in this time, there are many of these services that are doing very well as they try to everybody's scrambling to do online learning and the online proctor services. Now you have 2 teenagers, and they are doing some distance learning, whatever COVID learning we'll call it. What's the experience been with that so far?
Well, I'll tell you that in a second, but the headline for the job, I can imagine now, for this proctor job is, watch college co-eds.
Yes.
Get paid to watch college co-eds on your computer.
Yes.
And I think it might give
Mislead
the wrong
some people.
impression. Might give it the wrong impression of what the actual job is. For my kids, it's been a little frustrating because the school system was not ready to go with distance learning at all. Very unequipped. So it took them several weeks to get their crap together. And then, of course, they're they're coordinating with the school district, which is coordinating with the state of Oregon, which is trying to figure out something for all the kids. But the local schools say, some of them are well equipped, some of them are not equipped. And so it's a very uneven thing. And we've had some teachers who have had all these plans, like, this is how we're going to do it. We finally figured it out. We're starting. And then the state will come around and say, okay, well, we're changing a bunch of the requirements. And it's like, come on, can we just settle on one thing? So I think finally, what is this? Today is the 13th of April. I saw my kid out, both my kids this morning. There was one who was working on the table. Another one was doing an art project or whatever. Just kind of, they looked at the instructions, they got busy and went to work. And so I think it's just now finally starting, the wheels are starting to roll on this whole thing. It just seems like it's taken like a month and a half for this to just take off, when it could have easily have been, this is my opinion, I think all the teachers should have just recorded themselves giving a lecture and then make the kids watch the lecture at their own leisure versus trying to get all of this coordination together of, we're going to do this Zoom meeting and we're going to do all this. It's like you need to completely rewrite the paradigm.
Yeah.
The old model is 30 kids in a room with a teacher. The new model, maybe it's a district-wide teacher teaching to 1,000 students pre-recorded with a staff of people who can answer questions and have office hours and a chat function built in to the video so that when they're watching it, they can do live chat. I mean, I think we just really need to rewrite how distance education is done.
Yeah. I know a lot of, many people do distance education for college already, but at the high school, middle school level, even elementary school, they just weren't prepared for this because they've done it that way for a very, very long time. And so it'll be interesting to see how this changes things moving. Hopefully we have an opportunity for change here. So hopefully they can take a look at this, see how they can do things now, how that translates to in the future when COVID-19 isn't an issue. But yeah, we will continue to see change, and it could all change again before this is over, how education is working. So we will see on that. Well, security and privacy story of the week. I think I heard something about a Marriott breach or something like that, but I didn't even have the energy to look anything up, so we're going to skip over that. But I did have an amazing bonus odd take that our family enjoyed the other day. There is a gentleman, Wes Tank, on YouTube who has started reading, or rapping more accurately, Dr. Seuss books over Dr. Dre beats. And
wow.
He has an amazing energy, and just you have to watch these, even if you don't have kids, even if you don't like Dr. Dre, even if you don't like Dr. Seuss, just go watch these videos. They are hilarious. He's got a million views on one of them already, but since the first one was so successful, he has continued doing more Dr. Seuss books, and he does a great job, which I love to see somebody just doing something and seeming to have so much fun doing it.
Yeah, I just got a quick clip as you were describing it, and I'm going to be watching these later. It looks really good.
Yes, he does an excellent job. They're well edited. That goes great with the beats. He puts so much enthusiasm into them. They are a lot of fun. So make sure you check those out immediately. Pause the podcast and go watch these videos, then come back and listen to the podcast later.
We will wait.
Yes, yes. But you know what we will not wait for right now is our picks of the week. And this week, friend of the show, Tyler, he left us a voicemail with his pick of the week.
Hey, Notnerd family, this is Tyler calling in. Hey, I got a pick of the week, one that doesn't necessarily help you tech better or smarter, but one that is definitely filled with nostalgia, you could say. For those of you maybe in your 30s or early 40s, you remember back in the early 2000s, the website homestarrunner.com, maybe known more for the strong bad emails or Teen Girl Squad or a bunch of the other character and bits they did. Anyways, fast forward 20-some years, just this week they released a 3-volume, for you to purchase or just to stream Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you go, of all the music, all the jingles, themes, backgrounds. A lot of it is just dumb but fun things that if you were a fan of the website, definitely has a cult following, and it is a great throwback if you're looking for something to listen to or just have in the background to help combat all the feelings of quarantine during this time. So that's it. If you love it, you are welcome. If you don't, then check out homestarrunner.com, get some context, and you will probably be turned into a fan. So enjoy. Keep on teching, you guys. Bye.
Well, thank you for that, Tyler. Yes, Homestar Runner brings back many memories. It was felt like one of the first viral, just fun, goofy websites back there. I just went to their website and it says click to enable Adobe Flash Player, and you can even go to their old Flash website, which you won't be able to do much longer. But that's great that they're putting out some new content. And just to clarify, teching better just doesn't mean being more productive or anything. It also means finding entertainment and finding joy in life, as we talk about with many of our things, like the Dr. Seuss raps. So
that's right, Nate. Homestar Runner is one of my favorite websites.
Oh, it has been too long since we've had an impersonation, Dave. I appreciate that. Yes.
Harold! What's the other one? Teen Girl Squad! The ugly one! Anyway, check them out. The songs are great. Tyler gave me an advanced screening of these. I went through and listened to several songs, and many of them are just short little clips. Others are full songs. But if you are a fan of Homestar Runner at all, check it out, or you'll be Harold!
Nice. And your pick of the week this week, Dave?
Oh, yes. I kind of forgot. My pick of the week is keeping with the whole gaming theme. You know, when you're a guy like me and you have some GameStop credit and you go into GameStop and you see some games on sale for $3 and you're like, oh, do I have Call of Duty Black vs. White Volume 3 Definitive Edition with extra up-res samples Volume 2? I'm not really sure. I think I have 13 copies of that game at home. I don't know because I keep buying the same one for $3 when I go to GameStop. Well, I've used other game management apps in the past, but this one called GameEye, I heard it referenced in a podcast I was listening to, and it's completely free. It's pretty full-featured, and it's got one of these barcode scanners that's built into the camera, and it's connected to a database. And so what you can do is lay out all your games on the floor at home and just go scan, 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 scan. You hit import. And then now when you go to the game store, you can look up, do I have Teen Girl Squad for NES? And so you look it up and you're like, yep, I've got that one. So if you're a collector of a certain system or a certain genre or whatever, you can keep a list. So whenever you're at the retro gaming convention or if you're at a store downtown, you don't have to wonder if you find a good deal if you have the game at home. I inputted like 100 games. And of course, whenever I do things like this, it makes me consider my life. Like, why do I have all these games that I'm never going to play ever? But it's really nice for collectors or people who just have a lot of different media to keep track of what they have so they don't duplicate buy things.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It keeps you from trying to have to remember, and all of our brains have limited capacity, so that's helpful. Now, here's a question that popped into my mind because I do have a lot of older games around. Is there any sort of value? Would it be able to tell you if you had a game that was worth something for sale, or what the pricing would be on it?
It does. It gives you kind of an idea of what the complete inbox or just the game only or whatever value is worth. And so you're probably not going to be able to see this very well.
Yes.
But starting at the top, I have Alan Wake. Thank you, Tyler. I think I got that one from you. It says a complete inbox version of this game for Xbox 360 is worth about $8. I have Animal Crossing for the 3DS, $26.
Oh,
a
wow.
complete inbox
Nice.
game, and I did not pay that much for it. The list goes on. And so if you want, you can sort it by platform and say, what is my value per platform, or
Yeah.
what my value per individual game, and it'll give it to you. So it's a great tool if you're going to be posting some things on Craigslist as well to kind of get an idea of what your game is worth. Now, nobody's going to pay, $6 for my DS copy of Asphalt Urban GT game. It's not that great a game, but it gives me a starting place. Instead of $6, maybe I'll offer it for $3 if I wanted to get rid of it. So, yeah, it's a great tool. It's just simple. There's a lot of, there's some little features like reports, and that's kind of what you were looking for specifically. I don't have all my games in there, but the ones that I do, I have about $90 worth of original Xbox games, $323 of Xbox 360 games,
Wow.
Nintendo Wii U. I've got about $133 worth of games there.
Nice.
So, yeah. So for collectors or sellers or buyers, it's a great tool for video games.
Yeah, I will definitely check that out. Maybe I've got some valuable games out in the garage, which I will let you know first before I sell anything,
okay.
Dave.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
I get the right of first refusal.
Yes. So you might remember back on episode 102, Not Net Neutrality, where Dave's pick of the week was Words with Friends 2. And I played a lot of Words with Friends. Well, I saw something on Facebook from one of my friends the other day, and there is a new game, not Words with Friends, but Scrabble has released Scrabble Go. Or Milton Bradley or whoever does that game. And so Scopely is the publisher. It's available on Android and iOS. So it's got kind of your typical phone version of Scrabble, but they also have some different game modes. There's different challenge ones where letters will just drop and you have to do words as quickly as possible, and then you move up the rankings. Or there's ones where I think you each get 5 turns. It just pairs you with somebody. You each get 5 turns. Whoever has the highest score moves forward. So it's if you enjoy word games like Scrabble or Words with Friends, definitely check out Scrabble Go. Of course, there are in-app purchases, but I have not spent anything, and you can get diamonds to get upgrades and different tiles and that sort of thing. But Scrabble Go is a very fun little game that I've been enjoying recently, and it just came out March 5th is when it was available to play worldwide, so you can check that out at a local app store near you.
You're not helping me with my addiction to apps on my phone and getting fewer apps. And in fact, I think I probably have more apps on here than the last time we talked. So I'm not doing a very good job of paring down my apps.
We might have to check back in on that. And you can, of course, connect it to Facebook to play against your Facebook friends. So you can keep connected via our favorite service, Facebook. I'll give Dave a moment to go throw up in the corner and then come back. Our Ramazon purchase of the week this week. We love it when you shop through our affiliate links. Everybody's doing a lot of Amazon shopping right now, and we get anonymous reports on those tiny little affiliate fees we get for those purchases. Now, I have a feeling this one might be friend of the show, Todd. This is the Sunnytech Low Temperature Stirling Engine Motor Steam Heat Education Model Toy Kit LT001 by Sunnytech. 4.5 stars on 971 ratings. So this is a Stirling engine, a little steam-powered. I don't know a whole lot about these, but I know that Mark and Toddcast, they've talked about these a few times.
Yeah, and I know that Todd had one, and he showed a video of how it works.
So maybe his broke, and he had to buy a new one. Do you know anything about Stirling machines or Stirling engines?
Well, it uses the steam to make a turbine spin through a piston-type system, but it's named after the guy who invented it, I believe. It's not. There's no meaning inside the name Stirling. It's just the name of the guy who invented it. But outside of seeing one work and kind of the origin, I don't know much about.
Yeah, so I will read the Operation Easily bullet point on the Amazon listing. Pour a cup of hot coffee. Put the Stirling on the cup. It run magically. When it slows down, the coffee temperature is suitable for drink. Enjoy physical powertrain mechanism display and coffee. It also can work on top of ice cube. Some guys put the Stirling on cup of hot water and put small ice cubes on the Stirling upper plate. This makes the temperature difference much bigger than normal. Then it runs even more fast and crazy. Just enjoy the toy. That is
a great
Oh man, that just kept getting better and better. Well,
yeah, these don't have to be relegated to the toy bin. You can build full-size engines that actually do things with this design. Maybe Todd decided, you know what, I'm going to go off grid, and I'm going to use my fireplace to heat my coffee, and then I'm going to put the engine on my coffee, and that's what's going to power my electricity for my computers.
Oh, there you go.
Maybe he's going full circle.
I like that. Well, I just sent you an image of this SunnyTech low-temperature Stirling engine motor steam heat education model toy kit. Dave, what would you pay?
Well, this thing is priceless.
Yes.
So there's really nothing you could say about that. However, I know that our money makes the world go round and our society is ran with cash. So I'm going to say this thing, this is like an $18 toy, like a desk-type toy, I'm thinking.
Oh, well, Dave, that would be a steal because the LT001 is $39.99 on Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
So,
you know, that's probably a little more than I would pay for something like this because just personally, it's awesome, but I feel like the novelty would wear off.
yeah.
And so if I were to give it as a gift to someone, I would absolutely do that. But to have one for myself, I just don't think I would use it enough to justify that price. But from what I can see from the image, it's worth every bit of that $30-some-odd.
Yeah.
You're not getting ripped off.
Yes. It is very well reviewed, and yes, a seemingly novelty item. I don't know which benefit besides being able to watch this while your coffee cools down. I will read another bullet point just because this is so good. Amazing conversation pieces on your desk. It's funny to see people's looks and reactions when they squeeze a little shot for this Stirling engine. Put it on the cup which, full with hot waters, give the flywheel a gently push and get the flywheel going, and then it works like charm. All of your guests want to know what happened. Ice-breaking success. What a marvelous toy.
Whoever the marketing person is on this device should be given a raise. That is fantastic.
Yes, so good. So at least go check out the listing and read on in the descriptions. They've got some great images there as well. As far as the science behind it, it is a very thorough Amazon listing. And this has been a very thorough episode of the Notnerd podcast. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. So make sure you tell a friend about the podcast. Stay home and tech better.
Okay, now explain to me what the 50 tree on your shirt means.
50 tree.
Oh,
503.